Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You've got a for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it's Wing Nation, talking sprint cars, our favorite time of the week. We are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post and Erin Evernham here in our Concord, North Carolina studios. Hello, Erin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I am doing well. We have been busy with sprint cars, and we're getting ready to kick it up to notches unknown to mankind, as they say, because it is about time for Pennsylvania Speed Week, and you know what that means. It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy.
Speed weeks. When you go beyond a full week.
Well, that's true. It's not week. It should be speed weeks. Exactly. And a man who knows so much about Pennsylvania Speed Week, Speed Weeks, whatever we want to call it. Driver of that number 51 car, Freddy Rahmer, joins us. Hello, Freddy. How are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on, and I'm just excited you guys are for the week. So definitely.
Well, okay, you're excited now, but what does it take? What do you? We'll talk about your season and all the other stuff. At this point, we're 3-4 days out. What have you, your dad, the team, everyone? What have you been working on to make sure you're prepared for this upcoming 10-day stretch?
Yeah, I mean it's mostly like making sure your motors are ready and you know, a spare car or what, a spare of everything, obviously, but. Like we don't live far from out there, but we live 2 hours away, so we end up staying. So making sure everything's in the trailer for being away and just trying to be prepared for anything that can happen. But like we do all that work and you work all winter, and then simple thing like last night, you know, you get the truck tires changed on the truck and different things, and then we get messing around with something and we find the trailer, something was broken on the trailer on the suspension. So it's always something, but I mean, generally my dad and our team, we've always been pretty well prepared. So we don't have to do a bunch different for the week, knock on wood, you know?
Freddie, my Pennsylvania geography is not great. So you mentioned some nights you stay at a hotel, some nights you are able to come back. So you have all that planned out for the 10 nights already. Yeah,
I mean, The only one that's close for us is Grandview. That's about 20 minutes from our house. Everything else is about 100 miles away from our house. So we end up staying out, you know, the whole time, except for that one at Grandview is Tuesday, about middle of the week. So sometimes we'll come home for that and stay at night and then go back out. But I'll tell you, it's not like as a fan or a racer, like versus Ohio Speed Week, I've never done it or anything, but every track is within, I mean, almost 45 minutes of each other besides Grandview, with just one of them. But they're all, you know, right together. It's pretty nice, really.
Really, truly is. Freddie, is this a portion of the schedule that you absolutely love? I know the fans are already going nuts. I know those of us following along with it, racing every night of the week. But as a driver and as a guy that has to prepare for this, is this kind of a neat part of the season for you personally?
It is for me. I know it's hard on our people that help on the car, and my dad's done it so many years. I'm sure he's excited, but probably not excited for 10 straight. But like it's cool for me because I take off work for it and can solely focus on it. And if you do things right, I mean, we can have a really good week and a good shot at any night. You know, a couple tracks aren't as strong as others for us, but it's my favorite part of the season, you know, especially if you're going good. You know, you can take advantage of getting things really fine-tuned and whatever, or just doing better job as a driver and the whole thing. It's my favorite part of the season, definitely.
You mentioned that some of the tracks are better for you than others. Obviously we know you're always good at Lincoln and Williams Grove. What are some that you maybe struggle with or not your strong suit?
The one, honestly, we've had some success here, but the last several years, whatever has changed either with the track or whatever. Port Royal we struggle at, but we have been better there lately. Some of it's cars, some of it's just, I think we need to spend more time there to get better at it the way it is now. Years ago, didn't seem to be that tricky, but it is anymore. So I would say there is a tough one. Everywhere else is pretty similar, and we race a fair amount. Grandview, we've ran good at, but it's a tough place. You got to, everywhere else is pretty much the same, or we're familiar with, Yeah. So the Port Royal is a tough one for me.
Freddie, this thing has really blossomed, and you talk about we can get going really, really good, and we can have a good part of the season. Shoot, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, they were bragging about 5,000 to win every show. They've got this thing now up to 10,000 to win every show. Point fund on it as well. You got a 15, a 12, and another 15 or 20 grand to win race, and another 15 to grand race. This thing, and it needs to keep growing like that, but it seems like there's been a lot of energy into getting this thing to a minimum of 10,000 to win, and even more some nights.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see every night's purse or whatever, but it's just the point fund and going from 5 to 10. That's a big deal. And I know Williams Grove typically has the biggest paying one at the last Friday of the week. But no, it's great. I mean, and it's a non-sanctioned race. I mean, there'll be good cars there, some guys from the outside or whatever, but it's just nice because it's nice for the racetracks. It's nice for the racers. I don't race for a living, but we can make some money if things go well, and it's a good deal. I mean, the racetracks typically around here, like for the Grove, some nights that's their best crowds of the year if the weather's right, So I don't know. I think it's great, and like the Grove, Lincoln, and I think Port, they run twice through the week. That's why it used to be 7 days, now it's 10. But that's a nice thing too, because if you get one rain out at maybe one of your favorite tracks like that, you get another shot at it,
Yeah, Freddie, I did a speed week one time. I don't know what they didn't officially call it with the World of Outlaws at the time, but it was like 7 straight nights. And we did have to travel a little bit more than 45 minutes a night. But I remember being absolutely exhausted, and we ran fairly well, thankfully, that we weren't like tearing up a bunch of stuff. But is there anything you do as far as your like physical side? Do you make sure you get certain sleep? Do you make sure your hydration? Is there anything you work on? Because it is physically and mentally exhausting no matter how you're running.
Yeah, definitely. Besides the mental side of it, I mean, physically, it's, you guys both know it's a long day. But what we try to do if things are either way, try to race, then hope, wash afterwards, because generally it's very hot that time of year. And then we try to get up and get done by around noon and get back in the hotel or 12 or 1 or whatever it takes, obviously, to get a little rest before the night. Because like I do a lot helping to be prepared. So, you got to rest when you can because it's a long week. But the one thing I've noticed is before, at least for me, like if you late after the races, you try to get something quick at Sheets's or something like that. That ain't healthy. It kind of bites you till the end of the week because you end up eating at 1 o'clock in the morning a sandwich every day. That kind of wears you out or whatever. So eating right definitely helps too. I think I try to focus on that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I've noticed that just in my general life. I can tell if I go a couple of days not eating well and going a couple of days and eating well. And I can tell you when I go for sprint car weekends, I'm swinging by the Sheets on the way back to the hotel, and I don't just grab a bottle of water. I mean, there is always something stupid that I'm buying because it's right there. And so it's crazy how that is. And it's the lifestyle as much as anything else. Freddie, you made the move this year back to the family team, the number 51 car. As we're midway in the season, getting ready for Speedweeks, just kind of assess how that move has gone, how things are going with you and that, and your dad and the whole team.
It's been okay so far. I mean, I think we are better than, we've won 2 races, but a bunch of top 5s and we topped a good amount of top 3s. Better than I think we're better than 2 wins. If I just pick it up a little bit, I think it'll make a big difference. But it's been good. I mean, we have everything we need to win, and we have great sponsors that can do it. And it's been good. It's just honestly, I feel like we ain't been racing consistently enough to that's an excuse, obviously, but it's been okay. I think if we race more, we'd be even better, but it's the same for everyone, you know?
Yeah, you led me right to my next question. I was just going to ask you how those rainouts affect you. I mean, obviously they affect every team, but you're back with your family team and you can't seem to get maybe in a rhythm. How hard has that been this spring?
It's been tough. It's been the weirdest year I remember in recent times because, like, so far it's June, the end of June. We've run 6 at Williams Grove so far. And I think 11 at Lincoln and everywhere else in this area we go to. So, like, I don't know, we probably ran 4 at Fort, you know, a good handful at Susky and different places. But it's been hard because we'll run one night. Like, we've been trying, there's been weekends we're supposed to get 3 and we've got 1 or none in. And, you know, you try to figure something out, then you don't race for a weekend. And it's been tough, but it'll be nice to get in a good rhythm starting Friday. You know, like the one good, I do know that our car is pre-positioned and I do a good job driving. I know our car is good enough to win most of the places or run up front, definitely. So I know I have confidence in that. So we'll just try to make the best of it. And there'll be nights we time good and things go together nice, and there'll be nights we don't and just got to fight through it. You know, it's been, I don't know how many of these I've ran, but we've ran well in a good amount of them and just got to keep digging with it. That's all I think.
Freddie, this is kind of a hypothetical question, and I know your team is not based to do this, okay? But when we see, like we've had this year, you know, Anthony's been out running across the country. His team is built to do that. Brock Zierfoss has been out running around the country. Danny's been running out around the country. Is there ever any thought with, like, man, when we get into a season like this, we just need to go somewhere else? Or is it just not even within the realm of where you guys are and how your program is built?
It's not really in our deal because of, you know, I have a full-time job and my dad, but I think I don't think it would be out of the question if things were really goofy for us to go somewhere for a weekend and then come back. Like if it's a 2-day show somewhere, I don't think that would be out of the question. If you know, if we're going good, it wouldn't make sense to go somewhere if you're not strong, but I think it could happen at some point. You know, we've done it in the past.
Freddie, I know that you have a full-time job and you're very successful. Is there ever thoughts of going on the road full-time if the opportunity presented itself?
Honestly, Erin, my idea or my goal is not really. I would just want to be like one of the guys, or try to be the best guy, or be the best in what I'm doing here. And because there's so many good races, and I like to support around here, not just for work and my full-time job, but just that's my own goal. So I don't think so. I would like to travel maybe at some point, like different racetracks here or there, but nothing like a series or anything like that.
Sounds like somebody else with the last name of Rahmer, who carved out a very, very good Hall of Fame career there with your dad. And I think that's absolutely, absolutely amazing. So the other factor involved with this, you've got the work, of course, you've got the sprint car racing, but how's the baby watch coming along? I know we're still a few months out. September is when Erin's due, but how is that going for you, Freddie?
It's been good. Erin's doing great. She's still doing all her working out and not running as much, but works out like crazy and all that. But health wise, everything has been very good. So that's the most important. But our baby's due in September, so that'll be a lot going on starting then, obviously. And we're actually in the process of finishing getting a house. We're getting a house built. We haven't done much work ourselves, but you know, it's a long process. So it's been over a year now, but ideally we'll be in by then, but we'll see. So there's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, sounds like it. Well, and I'm feeling bad for Erin being pregnant in the summer and a full speed week. Now, is she planning to do all 10 days? Because I'm feeling bad for her.
Yeah, I don't envy that part, but no, she is. We don't get to go, or she doesn't get to go on vacation with the racing. So mine and her vacation typically is for Speed Week. So, she'll be at everyone and, we'll be together, the whole week. So that's a cool thing too.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. It is absolutely awesome. It really, truly is. Well, Freddie, we appreciate the time joining us here today. We are going to be following along. We wish you well all week long. We wish you well with everything else going on in your life, but thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Thanks for having me on, and talk to you later on. Thank you.
Sounds good. Freddie Rahmer joining us from the great state of Pennsylvania. Stay with us. When we come back, Michael Buddy Kofoid. If he's not at the bank making some deposits, he'll join us next.
3, 2, 1, start your engine!
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi. Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR channel, always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation. I am telling you what, we had a blast following along what was going on at Huset, but we had no fun at all compared to our next guest. Buddy Kofoid joins us after all those wins, a trip to the bank, I'm sure, and everything else. Buddy, I am telling you, how do you even put your arms and your mind around the weekend you had at Huset's?
I have no idea. I'm still trying to process all of it, but no, just a like I said, just a dream weekend, and something that I never thought would be really possible. But I had a goal to maybe at least get one, and if we could get two, that'd be insane. And here we are, a couple days later with both of them.
Buddy, you got that win at Eagle with the high limit, and it seems like, I mean, I'm watching from afar, but you guys have hit on something. Maybe it's also some confidence. Is there something? I mean, you had 7 wins last year, but it just seems like, man, you're on fire right now. Is there something you're doing different with the car? I don't know. It just seems like, wow, you're impressive right now.
I would say a combination of things. Definitely the most confidence that we've had this year so far, and started out kind of, I don't want to say slow, I had some bad luck in Volusia again, and that, puts you behind, and, was kind of changing cars back and forth, and, had some bad luck with cars, not responding well, or, trying to get better on the half-mile stuff. So, changing our package for that. And I feel like we got a better handle on that now. And, now we've found something that's consistent again for us, and just been having fun and just going to places I feel like that are in my wheelhouse, but also finding speed on places that haven't been in my wheelhouse, like Knoxville, a couple weeks ago, or I guess, about 2 weekends ago was the best I've ever felt in that place in my career. So happy about that, because I know that's a place that I struggle at. So it's nice to, go forward and qualify again, just put a whole day together. But then to follow it up with Huset's was just unreal.
Yeah, just amazing. It really is. How much of this also is the relationship you have with Dylan Buswell, your crew chief on this? And, it's funny because I know names and I know faces, and they actually interviewed him on Dirt Vision. It's like, okay, now I put it all together there. How much is that relationship helping at this point as well?
I would say it's a huge part of it. I've wanted to work with Dylan for a while, because I feel like he is one of the most talented crew chiefs in the entirety of sprint car racing at the moment. And it's just been a pleasure to work with, and, makes my job easier. And he's just very even keel, kind of like myself. So I feel like we've just gotten along and figured each other out, really quick. And, as a driver, and when you're on, racing on tour, it's grueling, and, having someone like him in your corner makes it a little less grueling.
I'm sure. Buddy, what was your victory lane you showed a lot of emotion. I loved it. It's a huge win. You had your family there, your crew. Watched the interview with your dad. I forget who it was with, Connor Wade. And I thought it was really great. He talked about the things that you went through and driving up to Cottage Grove because you couldn't race in California. You were too young, and he would wash your hair with a hose. Like, it was just really neat to hear the backstory. What was that like to share that moment, not just with your crew, but with your family?
Yeah, it was special. I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have a handful of special moments now with, with my family, but I feel like, that one was one of the biggest, if not the biggest one so far. My dad's actually never been to Huset's, and for some reason, I assumed that he had been. He's like, no, I've never been. And I'm like, okay, well, you picked a good weekend to come. And then, won both 6-figure races was just, unreal. But no, just having them there is just special just because I feel like they sacrificed pretty much everything that they could for me to do it. And, it makes me proud to, hopefully, reward them, of their hard work and why they did what they did for me and believing in me. So, just, happy about that. And, you don't get to see your family all that often anymore. The older you get, I've moved out since I was 17. And so, those moments become more special, the more that, you see them very few and far between.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Another mentoring or big part of that team is Dennis and Teresa Roth. Dennis's years ago, Dennis's modus operandi, and I talked to TK about this because TK was hired and fired there about 62 times. You win or you move on, and that sort of thing. I think Dennis has mellowed here a little bit. He seems to be pretty comfortable where we're at, but knowing what trophies mean to Dennis, this has got to be rewarding to give one of the Hall of Fame team owners trophies and put that 83 car at the front of the sprint car world right now. That has got to be extremely rewarding.
Yeah, no, I mean, you couldn't have said it better. It's rewarding for that reason, but also coming from California like them to go, on the World of Outlaw Tour, my first 2 years with that team has just been really special. And, growing up, I watched TK a lot in the Roth car and got to race against him, but also Kyle Hurst was in the Roth car, and there's been a lot of really good people in it. So I've been around them for a while, but, it's cool to, have my first opportunities with them, on the road. And it just, for me, I'm a fan of the sport and just the history of it. And I feel like they, along with a lot of, obviously, many other car owners, crew chiefs, drivers, etc., have paved the way for the healthy environment that we get to race in now. So I feel like it's people like them that, you got to remember. And so it's nice to reward them, for everything they've sacrificed over the years, but also for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. They've certainly are Hall of Fame car owners and have been around and iconic. So it must be really special for you. What was the celebration like? I'm assuming you're pretty exhausted after 4 nights of racing, but pretty elated as well. Did you guys party a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, yeah, first off, it was the 4 days. It's grueling anywhere, but it was one of the hotter weekends I feel like I've experienced in a long time. And it was just very humid and like miserable, honestly, at times. Yep. But no, it's just, and that's what for the most part really made me the most tired was just the heat wearing you out, not so much the physical side of racing, just the heat. I feel like that's kind of what you saw at the, in Victory Lane the last night was everything, decompressing down into one moment and finally being able to relax just because of how hot it was. And then the job's done basically for that weekend. And, but then, thankfully it cooled off and got to get my suit off. And then I think we were up until 4. And then actually we slept in the truck, and then one of my crew guys, so Dylan and I slept in the truck, and then our tire guy slept in the trailer. Then our car chief, he just grabbed a pillow and slept in the grass outside. So it was a good night.
It's always a good night when someone ends up in the grass.
No, wow. he voluntarily was like, I'll just sleep outside. There's no room in there. So I'll just sleep outside, grabbed a pillow, and then we woke up at 10 and then drove back to the shop.
The glamour portion of sprint car racing, man, I'll tell you what, people talk about the glamour. That is awesome. I mean, that is phenomenal. So neat stuff. That is for sure. Buddy, looking forward. And I know we have Cedar Lake this weekend, but the World of Outlaw schedule has changed in the last 2 years. We go to Cedar Lake and then we have 10 or 12 days off. The 10 or 12 days off. What does Buddy Kofoid do? Do you, and I know there's limitations on going racing, or do you just go and get away from racing?
So I'm actually going to go back to California.
Nice.
I was going to go hang out with, family and friends back at home. And, I think take advantage of the hot weather and go to the lake for a few days and kind of get away and decompress a little bit. Cause I feel like when we come back, we're kind of wide open back into it. So, it's nice to, I'm a racer, so I want to race as much as I can, but I feel like the older I get, the more I realize, it's nice to have time like that. And I think it's needed for sure. So going to go, hang out there and, I'll probably be bored, which I was racing after like 3 or 4 days, but in the long run, I think it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, you led me right to my next question. I'm sure after coming off of some huge wins, a break seems better than if you're running bad and you're itching to figure it out. So you have that going for you. But what are some of the things that you like to do when you are away from racing and you're forced to be away from racing? You mentioned the lake. Are you into water sports or other activities?
So yeah, I grew up going to the lake, my whole life. So, but obviously I don't get to go to California pretty much at all, except in September and like November. Mm-hmm. But so, I get to go to the lake, next week. But actually, so I have a house in Indiana and I don't get to spend a lot of time there just cause we're on the road so much, but I choose to be, on the road and with the team. I feel like it just, for me, it just feels better. And I feel like I race better the more I'm around it. But so there's actually a lake in Knoxville where our shop is. So funny story, our crew, car chief, had a dream about a jet ski. So then like a week later we bought jet skis and now we go to the lake here in Knoxville.
That's very cool.
Vision. He, what is it? He projected it. He manifested it. Yeah. Manifested jet skis.
He's like, I had a weird dream about jet skis. I'm like, yeah, we should get some. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then we actually bought jet skis off Marketplace. So he got his a couple hours from our shop in Knoxville, and then I drove to Wisconsin and bought one in one day and then came back.
My God, that is awesome. I absolutely love it. Buddy, we are grateful for your time. We're grateful that you left the nice, dry confines of an office where we had marginal signal to go out and sit in the rain. We see the raindrops falling down. We appreciate you we appreciate you going out in the rain and doing the interview with us. We wish you well this week at Cedar Lake. And then, when you get back, and it's also that month of money as well. So we wish you well, but thanks for the time. Congratulations on the success.
Oh no, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on. It's I guess you do something right if you get to be on Wing Nation. So no, thank you for allowing me to do it.
I appreciate it. That's Buddy Kofoid, winner up at Huset's all weekend long. Erin, Buddy said, and he was talking about the Roths, and he said the healthy environment that we race in, and boy, that is built on the back of Dennis and Teresa Roth and like car owners, and whether it's regional car owners or national car owners, we're living in a good time. We're talking about Buddy winning $400,000 in 2 weeks. But I'm telling you what, it's folks like Dennis and Teresa Roth that have got us to this point. I understand World of Outlaws and High Limit. Get away from that. Yeah. It is the backbone of people like Dennis and Teresa Roth that allow guys like Buddy and guys like that to go race for that money.
And we talked about a little bit, like the history of their race team is unbelievable. I mean, Dennis and Teresa have invested so much into sprint car racing, and they're an icon of the sport. The 83 car's been around for as long as I mean, think of the days of Lasowski, and goodness, you could go. Mark Kinzer drove the car. I mean, the list is crazy. Yeah, it really, truly is. All right. So Buddy Kofoid was obviously the toast of the town all weekend long. But there are 3 drivers this weekend that really, really jumped up. We're going to start with the North Pole Nightmare. My buddy Steve Anderson, Anderson's Pure Maple Syrup. I love Steve Anderson. They are a small company that sponsors a small team. They were a big sprint car team with Bill Baylog
Everybody had that number 17 car, that 17B car on there. He has been rolling.
Even the high limit race, where was that? In Wisconsin. He was great all night there. Like, he's another one that they found something, figured something out. Confidence is high, but yeah, unbelievable. He's on it.
Second, first, and second. Just shy of $100,000. That win on Friday night was his second win of the season. He won at Talladega. This goes back to conversations we've had about high limit World of Outlaws. To me, Bill Balog has been the poster child of what's been good about this split.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he's a guy that's toiling away with the IRA and he's not close. It's a big jump to go World of Outlaw racing. Well, when you're starting out in this thing like he did last year, and now this year you're starting out and there's 6 or 7 fully funded teams as opposed to 12 fully funded teams. You can sneak into that top 10 and you can race and you can make yourself better and make yourself better. All of a sudden, Balog is a front runner with the World of Outlaws.
Yes, he is.
Isn't that awesome?
It is so good to see. He's such a good person.
And he is such a good person on top of that. All right. Speaking of good people, I got to know Trey Starks. He was driving for Jeff down in Cherryville. Jeff. Oh, gosh.
I can picture him.
I can picture him too. I talked to him all the time. Anyhow, driving for him. I got to know Trey when he was running USCS 360s around here. Then he ran Knoxville, but he went home to tend and to be with the family business. They run an engineering firm out in Washington. And he went home to do what's right, to do that. Little did he realize at the time, through Kevin Rudine and others, that sprint car racing on a big fashion was coming right to his home. And here he is, picked up the win, 53rd annual Jim Raper Memorial Super Dirt Cup, $111,000 on Saturday night. Good things happening to good people. Trey Starks is among the best in the business. And look at this. He can stay home and he can race like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, we keep talking about the Northwest and what the Rudines are doing and what everyone is. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Really, truly is. The only problem I have with Trey Stark is his selection of friends. He's buddies with Dominic Selzy. That's the only suspect thing right there is he's one of Dominic Selzy's best.
I think that is a good attribute.
It's a great attribute. Really, truly is. So Trey Starks, man, I think back about sitting at Cherokee Speedway and Carolina Speedway and chatting with him. And man, oh man, what a neat deal. That is for sure. I'm going to tell you another guy, Danny Dietrich, has wore his truck and his guts out supporting Ohio Speedweek. He, every year, it's like, Danny, what are you doing? My God, there's great racing in Pennsylvania. Or go do this. He packs everything up and he goes to Ohio because he loves it. He was rewarded, picked up the win on Saturday night, the Dean Little Memorial. That's the biggest race of the week, $26,000 plus. The Ohio Speedweek champion, and Erin Dietrich had a really good season, a solid season. Yeah,
well, great Speedweek. Yeah, he had 13th, 3rd, 6th, 2nd, 3rd, 1st. I mean, that's a solid Speedweek. Yeah. We just talked about how it can go sideways real quick. Yeah. And it got better and better as the week went.
Yeah. So kudos to Danny Dietrich. The effort, the energy that he puts into Ohio Speedweek, and he got his reward this year. And that is really, really cool. So 3 racers that had really, really good weekends: Bill Balog, Trey Starks, and Danny Dietrich. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar. Yesterday, Billy Wilkerson. Tomorrow would have been the birthday of Doug Auld. Thursday, they're going to be celebrating in Aliquippa. Tim Schaefer, Kramer Williamson, Lloyd Axel, Roy Whichwine. I ran into Kurt Williamson up at Pocono and chatted with him a little bit. I love chatting with Kurt. The Williamson family is such good people. Kramer forever enshrined, as are the others enshrined in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. SprintCarHof.com. That's www.sprintcarhof.com. We talked to Freddy Rahmer about it, but Erin, they are getting ready to get busy. 2 words. Busy in Pennsylvania.
They sure are. We have, we're going to list them off. All right. Speedweek starts Friday night, Williams Grove, $10,000 to win. Saturday, June 28th at Lincoln, the $15,000 to win, the Kevin Gobrook Memorial. Sunday, Baps, $12,000 to win. Monday, Lincoln, $10,000 to win, and you can take over.
Grandview, Port Royal, Hagerstown, all 10 grand to win. Freddie mentioned it. Williams Grove on Friday, July 4th. Oh my gosh. Friday, July 4th.
There'll be some fireworks there.
There'll be some fireworks there and 20 grand to win, 15 to win at Port Royal on Saturday the 5th. Path Valley, 10,000 win wraps it all up. It is Pennsylvania Sprint Car Speed Week presented by Red Robin. Yum. The burgers and brews. Man, I'd be all over that too. I'd be all over that. I know. I love.
Oh my God. That's the first time you've mentioned food.
Right. 43 minutes and 35 seconds into this one right here. New track record. Absolutely.
We need Johnny to call
But
it.
we needed the Red Robin. Yum. And I haven't done many slogans or anything like that.
Yeah.
So great stuff.
There may be a reason why.
There you go. Exactly. Settle down in there, Traeger. Settle down in there. All right. Kubota High Limits Thursday through Saturday. The Diamond Classic at Lucas Oil Raceway. World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Cedar Lake, Wisconsin. And then Erin, as far as national tours, we go dark.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is fascinating. We don't maybe like it. But it is so. This is the series and sanctioning bodies knowing the grind of this thing.
Yeah.
And it is needed. We talked to Buddy, but you think about crew guys and crew members and everyone else. It is so needed.
Yes. Especially when you talk about the heat of a place like Huset. It's like,
yeah,
it can get the drivers are exhausted, but those crew guys are working all day long.
Yeah. So great stuff. And it is going to be a big weekend. There's a lot of local racing action as well. So, man, we got racing action all over. And get out to a racetrack. Get out to a racetrack, folks. I'm telling you, you got to go support it. My Van May shirt.
I like it.
I love it, too. That was my favorite. I'm up at Port Royal. I'm sitting there in the grandstands, and Van says, "What size do you wear?" I said, 2X. And he says, I figured it was $25 or $30. He said, "You have $25 or $30 on you, don't you?" And I said, and I went in my wallet and I was $5 short. I'm like, I don't. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll hammer him down here a little bit. I said, I only got 20 or 25, whatever it is. Some fan turns around, "Here, postman, here's $5. That'll make up the difference."
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool. I love my Van May shirt. And I see this. This is the Corvette pulling the race car. This was on display. You were there at the Motorsports Expo. Never in my life. I will laugh at this for the rest of my life. It's like a half hour left in the show. And you know how shows are. Half hour left. Everyone's ready to go. Next thing you know, right down the aisle, fans still there. Here comes Van in the Corvette, security running all over the place. They stopped him, but how do you chew Van May out? You just stop him and say, "Van, you can't go any further." And he stood there, and they all chit-chatted and everything. But, oh, my God, what a character.
Yes.
Sprint car characters, man, they're good. And I am proudly wearing the Van May T-shirt. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love what we have going on here. All of these shows are on YouTube. Okay, so go back and look at all of these shows. And you know what? Do us a favor. Let's say a month and a half ago, you go back and you listen to the Brian Brown Show. Okay? Get on your social media channels and say, "Hey, I missed this," or "I wanted to listen to Brian Brown again." Go back and look at some of our Wing Nation shows on YouTube. We've got them all there, and you can go back and catch up with anything you missed on YouTube. Do us a favor, share that on your social media platform as we continue to just preach the gospel that we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook Live, and all of the podcast platforms. We are on Facebook. We're on Facebook with a group and a page. We do little conversations at times in the group. We are on X as well, and we are on IG because we are so cool with all the kids on Instagram. For sure.
On the gram.
On the gram, that is for sure. We are grateful for Freddy Rahmer. We are grateful for Buddy Kofoid for joining us here on Wing Nation. More important than all of that, though, we're grateful for you joining us this time on Wing Nation.